Welcome to the Weekly Social, where it's everything Katy, Fulshear, Richmond, Texas. Today we have Adleman with TexPro Insurance. Thanks for coming out today, Dylan.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. He's a insurance broker in the local area. He does all kinds of good for the local community. We see him at a lot of different events.
Oh yeah.
So, Dylan, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the insurance business?
Long story short, it was just through finding word of mouth. But no, actually, like you mentioned, I'm an insurance broker, so I work with multiple companies, hand selected. You don't charge any fees; you're pretty much free. The one thing we do utilize is client relationships. We utilize make sure that when we are anyone and everyone's paying an arm and a leg for insurance, so you want to make sure that you're not overpaying, but you're also not missing those essential options. So that's kind of what we do.
Underinsured.
Right, right. Like for example, I had a guy contact me, and he was missing about 1,300 square feet in coverage.
Oh gosh.
And yes, it results into an increase. But it was one of those things, would you much rather have that peace of mind, or much rather have to pay for a second-story home out of pocket? So that's kind of what we do. Is we go in and we look for those really key discrepancies to make sure that we can address them appropriately.
Insurance is a transfer of risk. A lot of people look at it like it's a dirty word, but are you willing to assume the risk, or are you going to transfer that risk?
Exactly.
But I mean, insurance is a hot topic right now,
Very much so.
especially with renewals, homeowners policies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in real estate, so I get a lot of phone calls, and I'm sure you're hearing the same stuff on the street that I am.
Oh yeah, and it's especially the economy. I mean, we all know that wood doesn't cost the same as 2 years ago or a year ago. So every year we kind of estimate a 10 to 12% increase when it comes to inflation. So that's kind of what you're seeing, is that every year increase about 10 to 12%, because they have to make up for the market value.
Well, your home is worth more, but if something happens, it also costs more to reconstruct the home than what it does to build a home.
Exactly.
And that's a misconceived notion that I see in our industry as well. Oh, my home's insured, or my home's worth, say, $750,000. Why do I have it $850?
Right.
Because it's going to cost X amount.
Exactly. And a lot of people are misconstrued about that. And for example, something that I learned recently, we actually just got one of those really cool generators that you have to put a concrete slab on that connect to your house.
Oh yeah, natural gas.
Right.
Awesome.
And come to find out, those can be added into your insurance policy. You just add, say you spend $35,000 on a generator, you just add that to your total home amount. So that way, if the house were to burn down, that rebuild amount, exactly, it's in there.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. It's a lot of little things that, again, that's what we do. Anyone can sell anyone a policy nowadays. So that's what we do, is we make sure that, yes, we know you're spending an arm and a leg for insurance, but we want to make sure that you're appropriately covered without spending too much money.
Well, you know, when it comes to insurance, my experience is that you need to have a relationship with somebody that understands what you have, what your end goals are, and what you're truly trying to accomplish. And I know that may sound a little convoluted, but you know, whether you need a 1% or 2% deductible. I mean, I don't even know what the deductibles are today, but a lot of that has to do with financial capacity, capital. So
trying to meet DTI requirements, that's a huge thing right now. Is we've got people shopping for homes. And I always recommend anyone to shop insurance before you buy the home. Reason being is because when you get down to the final end of the closing, you know, you're good to go on all boxes. You're not getting hit with, oh, I thought it was $200 a month for insurance. Now it's $400. It exceeds that DTI, the deal falls through.
So unless they stripped everything out.
Exactly. That's what we're seeing on our end. A lot of people call us and say, hey, I'm paying X amount of dollars. I'll go in and say, you realize you don't have any water backup, water damage, foundation coverage, the essentials that we always want to include.
Sure.
But it's one of those things where we don't pitch more on price, we pitch more on value. Let's make sure you get situated correctly, so that way nobody plans an accident. Yeah. But if in the event we do, you're good to go. Like for example, Jennifer Rose. I actually saved her about $1,300 on her homeowners, and because I was able to do that, I tacked on an option. And long story short, that option covered, and she had lightning strike her house about a week after I switched her to my agency. She called me, and because of the whole deductible setup, she had to pay less than what was really expected. So it's one of those things where that's kind of what I do. Is I play chess, trying to figure out what.
So you got a lower deductible and more coverage
Exactly.
to cover the problem that occurred a week later.
And got her more coverage too. So it's one of those things where a lot of people, God bless their hearts, but you know, you see people sticking with Geico, USAA, you know, Allstate, State Farm for 20 plus years, and they're paying an arm and a leg, and then they call me or our agency and they realize, oh snap, there's the same deal, if not better, way cheaper over here. So it really opens eyes for a lot of people, and that's what we do.
And those are all good companies predicated upon the consumer's needs.
Right.
So
Right.
I would say that's more of a case by case.
Right.
Because I've worked with all of them in the past, and I've had great experiences with them. And then there's also companies out there that I've had bad experiences with.
And insurance carriers, more specifically, are always shifting. Like, for example, State Farm, as of the beginning of this month, the 1st, they're no longer doing business here in Houston, or Harris County, because one, the area that we're in, Fort Bend specifically, is a coastal county, meaning we're too close to the coastal shore for insurance.
For wind rating?
Exactly.
But isn't that a wind rate of? It's not a 1. It's
in Houston, we're with 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. We're sitting between a 6 and a 7.
Okay.
Yeah. As you get closer to Galveston,
it's worse.
You're way worse, and that's where we've seen people trying to buy little vacation homes for $250,000, $300,000.
Can't afford it.
Can't afford the insurance policy because it's a minimum of $8,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Because down there things are different, and so that's kind of my forte is Fort Bend. I started off in Fort Bend, so I know what carriers do business, what they like and don't like, specifically in Fort Bend.
So Fort Bend's your area specialty.
Exactly.
That's great. If they have any questions and want to reach out to you, what's a good way for them to connect with you, Dylan?
So Richard did tag my page. You're more than welcome to call the agency line. Those calls do get forwarded to me, or you guys are more than welcome to call me on my cell phone number, which is going to be 346-386-8154. Again, it is 346-386-8154, and that's my personal number. You guys are more than welcome to call me anytime.
I see you out helping us at events and really participating in the local community, and I applaud that. So hats off to you. What are some of the things that are coming down the pipeline that you see coming in the future, maybe good or bad in the insurance?
Great question. What I really enjoy about the networking portion of things is it gives me a good insight to the real estate industry. It gives me insight to interest rates and stuff, so I can kind of be in line.
We're all interwoven.
Exactly. We're all full circle. We're all connected somehow, some way.
Right.
So
you can't do real estate without insurance. You can't do insurance and real estate without taking a mortgage.
It's
banks,
multiple parts of it, and so that's kind of where I'm like, I'm enjoying this because I'm learning future forward skills, not just skills to help me now, but interest rates might be looking like this for the next couple of months, which gives me a good idea of kind of what to expect on the insurance side of things.
Mm-hmm. So you can forecast stuff.
Right. Like when interest rates are high, we're kind of expecting new builds are a little bit lower. Nobody's really buying new homes right now, so we got carriers who love new homes, and we got carriers who love older homes. So we kind of just shift our primary carrier and just start quoting with them and go from there.
So it allows you to have somebody that identifies a specific niche,
right?
And you guys can get that client with that niche so that they have the best coverages for the best value.
9 times out of 10, we will have clients who, if we can't help them, we'll tell them, hey, we genuinely don't have an option that is price point feasible for you. If you're more welcome to go shop around, and 9 times out of 10, we'll find an option, come back to us, give us the quote, and we'll go pull that company so we can start selling them.
Okay.
So that way we're learning as we're going. Even if we're not being able to help anybody, we're at least gathering hand-selected companies to make sure that the future forward, we can solve those problems if need be.
Now, are they all A-rated companies?
All A-plus rated.
A-plus rated.
Yes, sir. We do not work with anything below A-plus rated because, again, our carriers are an extension of us and vice versa. We want to make sure that our clients are dealt perfectly through and throughout.
Well, and I can tell you, I've been through some claims and stuff over the years, and a lot of people think that they can click and order insurance. Number one, I'm not an insurance. That's not my specialty. Number two is that anytime that I've had an issue with the claim, I've always called my insurance
Right.
person,
Right.
and they've helped hand walk me through it. And let me tell you, Dylan, that is so valuable today. People think, well, I'll save X amount of dollars, and I don't believe you save anything.
Exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
9 times out of 10, the cheapest policy is the most expensive.
Correct.
So,
And then if something happens, somebody like you goes, hey, we need to do this, this, and this, and here's how you file it, and you basically just take it over.
Now, there is, so to kind of add more clarity to that, there's actually a separate claims license. So you have to be licensed in the claim adjuster, whatnot area. That way you can give advice, give information.
Is that like being a PA,
Exactly.
a public adjuster?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so with that being said, us agents are only legally allowed, we can walk you through, hey, you want to call this number, or do this, do that, do this.
Okay.
But anything past that, I mean, we don't own your home. We can't say, oh, we want this covered, we don't want this covered. So it's up to the client.
But you can point them in the right direction and give them guidance of what they need to do.
Like, for example, like I just mentioned Jennifer. She called me the day after. She had the plumber, electrical guy, and the roofer all out within 24 hours, checking everything to make sure things are good. Within that week, everything was fixed. They were fast, and it even made me go, holy crap.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're really quick, and that's why we work with the companies we work with. Is because, again, I wouldn't want to be stranded, without power, AC, and lightning struck my house. And
you have to have AC in our local market.
In Texas especially.
We had August for 4 months this year. Which is our hottest month, by the way.
You get 2 seasons, hot and cold, and that's it.
I mean, we had heat index pushing 118 degrees multiple times in our local area.
And that's what scares me, is because last year's freeze did some wonders in the insurance industry, causing a lot of claims to be filed through water damage. Roofs were water was leaking through roofs, causing it to freeze, resulting into a roofing claim. So there's plethora of things out there that we're constantly monitoring and keeping track of. Summer's really not a big deal, but it's the winter. Since last year, we're realizing that we need to pay way more close attention.
Well, and a lot of people will think, roof leak, well, that's builder warranty or whatever.
Right.
And typically it's not.
No.
Very rare.
Yeah, that's what I've also learned. Yeah, very rarely is it covered under that builder's warranty.
In new builds, you typically get lower insurance rates, my experience, because less risk. Is that correct?
Yes, the main factor to that is because it's a brand new roof. It's like candy to an insurance carrier, they'll eat it up.
Yeah. So
brand new roof, brand new plumbing, electrical, wiring, so obviously there's way less risk as if you had a 1990 build.
Right.
And so that you run into, you could have metal plumbing, which is a big no-no. You could have leaking pipes, which obviously is not good, and then your roof could be the original.
Galvanized pipes. There's still some of that out there.
Yep, there is. We actually have 3 companies that accept it, because we actually have a couple clients of ours who still have galvanized plumbing.
It's amazing that it's that long.
We've talked to them. We actually have a couple of plumbing clients ourselves that we insure. We've recommended them to contact.
So the PEX pipe.
Right. And they just say, we're okay with galvanized, so rock it out. So that's what we do. We go in, we get a company that'll accept it.
Sure.
Let's get you situated. But that's our main goal, is we don't want to leave you high and dry. We don't leave you with nothing. We want to leave you at minimum a course of action to take with a couple of options on the back end.
Going back to what you stated earlier when it comes to buying a house, as far as checking out the insurance prior to, there's something that most people are not aware of, and it's what they call a clue report. Can you kind of explain that?
Yes. So a clue report is pretty much like it's a state report, pretty much telling us if there was any claims at the property. Now, here's the deal. A lot of people are misconstrued on both the home and auto side of things. They think accidents and claims follow the home and the car. That's not true. It follows the person. Because you were there at the time of the claim, it follows you. So if you were living in an apartment, you got broken into, you put a claim in for robbery, and then 2 years later you move into a house, that claim will still pop up. Now, you will not get penalized for it nearly as much as an at-fault accident on your auto, but it is something that clue reports are extremely valuable to us insurance agents, because not only does it verify the information that we have, but it also helps us get a better understanding of how to better protect you.
Well, let's say that there was a claim paid on a hail damaged roof, and what if that seller did not fix the roof, and then we have a buyer that buys it,
Right.
and then another hailstorm comes through a year
Great
later?
question. That would honestly be that's very case by case situational, but at that point, personally speaking, I'd start calling insurance carriers and saying, "Hey, you see the clue report? Let's work on something." And that's the beauty of every carrier I work with as well, is we have intermediate teams